So in this lesson, we're going to learn how to place objects in space in a way that will make them appear perspectively correct. So for example, if you wanted to draw a crowd of people like this here, but you just randomly place the figures in your drawing without any regard to how they're supposed to look in perspective, then your drawing just not going to look right and there won't be any depth to it. So let's go ahead and learn the proper way to do this. So this technique I'm about to show you is going to work for any shape or object, whether it be trees or houses or whatever. But in this particular example, we're going to be working with very simple stick figures. So let's say I wanted to draw a crowd of people in my drawing. The first thing we need to do is establish the horizon line, and that's this red line right here. Next, I'm going to draw my first figure, and this figure is going to be the reference that I'm going to use to draw all the subsequent figures in the drawing. So I'm going to make this first figure the same height as the observer of the drawing. Now, in case you forgot, the observer is basically the person whose eyes we're seeing the drawing through. So the observer is usually off the frame and looking at the scene. Now, remember I said that the horizon line is always at the eye level of the observer. So if we were to make this first figure the same height as the observer, then his eyes will also be right where the horizon line is. So when I draw in the head of the figure, I'm going to place it so that his eyes line up with the horizon. So we're just going to use a simple oval shape to draw in the head. Alright, so his eyes are right there. And now we'll just put in the rest of his body, and you can use whatever proportion you want for the body. Okay, so now that we have our first figure, next we're basically going to draw a row of the same size figure standing in a straight line and going back into the distance. Now, with each subsequent figures that we draw, because each one is now further away from the observer, each one is going to be smaller and smaller. So to figure out how exactly we should size them, we're going to take a point right at the top of the head of the figure, and another point right at the bottom where the feet ends, and we're going to connect each one of these points with a straight line back to a vanishing point. Now, of course, we haven't established a vanishing point yet, so we're gonna go ahead and do that now, and I'm just going to pick this point right here to be the vanishing point. Alright, so there's the vanishing point, and now we'll just draw straight lines from it to these two top and bottom points. So now these blue guiding lines here are going to tell us how tall our figure are supposed to be as they move further back in space. So the more to the right they go, the further back in space they will appear. So if you were to place your figure a little further back, like right here, then his head would stop right there and his feet would stop right there. And as you move further back more, then the smaller the figure will become. So now you can begin to start drawing in all the other figures if you wanted to. However, we still want to keep the head and the torso and the legs in proportion as well. So we're going to go ahead and draw a straight line from this point here for the head, this point here for the arm, and this point here for the crotch, and connect them back to this vanishing point. Alright, so these green lines here is going to help guide us as to where to put the different parts of the body. So now let's draw in the second figure. Now, the one thing to remember is that since this second figure is still the same size as this first one, just further back in space, his eyes will still fall right on the horizon line. So you want to place his head so that his eyes is going to match up with the horizon line. So there's his head. Notice how it's a tiny bit smaller than the first one. And so now let's draw in the rest of his body. So we're going to use these green guiding lines here to help us. So we're just going to draw a straight line down, and this point here is going to be where the arm starts, and this point here is going to be where the crotch starts, and this point here is going to be where the legs are going to end. Okay, so now using the same method, let's add about 4 or 3 more figures in this line here going back into the distance. Alright, so there we have our row of people, and when you draw this, remember to keep the length of the arm proportional to the body. So as you move back into the distance, make sure to draw your arm shorter. So now we can use this row of figure here as a guideline to help us place more figures into our drawing. So for example, if I wanted to draw another figure that is at the same distance as this third figure right here, except I want to place it slightly to the right over here, I can simply take my ruler and measure the height of the figure. Remember to keep your ruler perfectly horizontal so that you have an accurate measurement. And I'm going to mark the height of this figure and transpose it over here where I want to place the other figure. So I'll just make that mark right there, and this is going to be where the top of my head is. And now I'll go to the bottom of the feet and transpose that distance over here. So this will mark the bottom of the feet. And if you wanted to, you can also measure out all the other landmarks of the body. So here we have the chin, here we have the arms, and here we have the crotch. So now using these dots as guidelines, I'll draw in the figure. So that's what that looks like. And you can use the same method to place figure wherever you want in the drawing. So let's put another figure right somewhere over here, except we'll have him appear as if he's standing at this distance away. So once again, I'm just going to take my ruler and transpose the height of this figure over on this side. So here I have all the important landmarks of the body marked out, and now I'm going to use it to guide me in drawing the figure. And that's what that looks like. And now let's use the same method to add a few more figures to the drawing. Alright, so there we have our crowd. And notice how every figure in this drawing have their eyes right at the horizon line. Now contrast this drawing with the earlier drawing where we didn't pay any attention to the perspective. And notice how cohesive and good this drawing looks as compared to the chaoticness and unstructured of this drawing. Now the fact that every figure in this drawing here have the same height is a little bit unrealistic, because in real life everyone has a slightly different body type, height, and proportion. However, now that we have these figures all laid out, we can use them as guidelines to create our more realistic drawing. So you can simply go over the figure and make this one, say, a little bit taller. You can make this one a little bit shorter and change the height around so that it's more realistic. Alright, so that's how you place objects in space. Once again, this technique will work for anything from trees to houses to human figures. Have fun with it, and I'll see you in the next lesson. So I hope you enjoyed that lessons. Now if you like more great perspective drawing tutorials, be sure to sign up for my free drawing newsletter at mydrawingtutorials.com/perspective. Also, if you'd like to get a lot of really great in-depth knowledge about perspective drawing, I highly recommend you check out my course, Perspective Made Simple. It's a video home study course that consists of over 38 individual lessons, and in it I'll walk you through all the essential principles and methods of perspective drawing, from the very basic to the very advanced. Also, in the course there's going to be a lot of step-by-step exercises that's going to help you gradually increase your skill level and apply what you learn. And by the end of the course, you will have drawn your very first ultra-realistic perspective drawing. So it's a fantastic course whether you're a beginner or an intermediate artist who wants to learn more about perspective drawing. So if you'd like to check that course out, simply go to the URL on the screen, or you can simply click on the link right below this video. Alright, so thank you so much for watching, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below to let me know what you think.